Tour Junkies.
All right, golf addicts, welcome to another wonderful Tour Junkies podcast. I am your main host, David Barnett. I do have a co-host here. He's the guy next to me that looks like Kirby Smart on his off day, Mr. Pat Perry. We are the Tour Junkies, and we are here to break down the PGA Tour, to talk a little, PGA Tour golf betting, a little PGA Tour DFS, if you so fancy, and have a good time. Talk about all things PGA Tour. We're going to make you laugh tonight. That's what we're going to do. Got a new segment coming at the end of the podcast that I'm looking forward to called DB Down in the DMs. Got a bunch of you guys have sent a few questions. We're going to answer a few of those today live on the show. And, it's going to be good. We're riding a heater. We've picked 2 straight winners on this podcast. And
right.
I've got the podcast juice flowing tonight. It's my usual concoction, as some of our listener friends have called it the DB, which is vodka, LaCroix, peach schnapps, and a little twist of lime. Pat, how are you, sir? And how's the podcast juice flowing tonight?
It is good. I made it a little easy on myself. Just some Tito's and a little bit of this. It's just sparkling ice, just lemonade, just a little splash of that. I like it. It's good stuff. So I made it easy, and another winner was Sebastian Munoz. And then
we can't get too much into it, or people will get mad. We have to hit that later. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll hit it later. Sorry, yeah.
You remember the new show format where now we're going to do the picks?
Sorry,
first?
New format. Yeah, I
new
need to
format,
not talk about. I was so ready to be you had a good hit last week, and I had a good one this week, so I just wanted to get to it.
I know, man. It's good. I can't wait to let you talk about it in just a little bit. But before we do that, we definitely have to thank Ben Hogan Golf, because they've stuck with us. BenHoganGolf.com, where you can get some really freaking awesome golf clubs that you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for, because there's no retail markup. They're handmade, custom, to order, right there in the great state of Texas. Know what I mean? Excuse me. Ben Hogan Golf. It's an American, golf equipment company. They're great, and we've been hitting the driver and the putter now for a few months. It's great stuff. Looks like a Titleist, plays like a Titleist, but actually a lot cheaper. So you don't have to pay $500 for it, because there's no retail markup. So you just get the driver at like $300, but when you use our promo code, you make us look good to Ben Hogan. You make us look like we're a bigger deal than we probably are, and you get 10% off the driver. So now you're getting a brand new driver in the shrink wrap, custom, your shaft, your grip, made to you, all for $270. That's pretty sweet. The putter's less than that. It's a milled face, good weight to the putter, feels like a Scotty. But again, you're not paying for the Scotty. Great irons, beautiful irons. You can get black irons at BenHoganGolf.com. And the equalizer wedges are just pure sex. They're just pure sex in a golf club.
They're good-looking wedges.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing. So you guys can go to BenHoganGolf.com, BenHoganGolf.com. Use promo code Tour Junkies at checkout. They're really good stuff. We're excited about what Ben Hogan has coming. And we want to see some listeners rocking some Ben Hogan. So let's do it, Pat. Hit us with the course breakdown. We got the Safeway Open this week in lovely Napa, California. Another fall swing event that we can get pumped up about. A good field this week, Pat. We haven't seen this kind of field since the playoffs. And, there's some big names in here. I know we'll get to it. But let's hear a little bit about what you think about the golf course, how it's going to play, key stats for you as well.
Well, let's just again talk about the field. The reason the field is so good is because let's be honest, pro golfers like wine, and they like good wine apparently, and that's why they show up in Napa Valley
and FedEx Cup points, wine and FedEx Cup points.
They like those, but I think the wine in the fall may make it be a bigger deal to some of these bigger name players. But so we're in Napa at the Silverado Resort and Spa. This is the North Course. It is a par 72, playing just about 7,166 yards, so not too long for these guys. Don't let that fool you. It doesn't necessarily play that easy. You got 144 players in the field this week. POA greens, which is what we typically see when we get over on the West Coast in North Carolina. As far as the difficulty of this course, I mean, when you're talking about 49, 50 events, it's still right in the middle. I mean, they're going to score, but it was 29th toughest last year, 23rd in 2018. and then the 30s in 2017. So they're going to be able to score, but it's not one of the easier courses on tour, despite the length. You just got a couple water hazards out here, so not a whole lot of trouble as far as that's concerned. Bluegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, rough. It's just another, like last week, a vintage tree-lined track. These players, again, I think they are going to score, but got several dog legs out here, and that's when it takes the Bombers kind of out of play a little bit. It brings some of these other guys into the fold, because when you look at past champs like Tway, obviously a Bomber, but Brendan Steele won it 2 years in a row. We had Emiliano Grillo win it in 2015, Sangmoon Bay. These are guys that are hitting fairways. They're hitting greens, so I'm going to look at the ball strikers this week. And I did. If you look at the last few years, driving accuracy certainly came into play as far as the top finishers were concerned, at least over the last 4 or 5 years. So I think with these dog legs, you got to hit the fairways in the right spots, and then you've got to be aggressive into these greens, which are going to run really quick. There's a lot of contour, a lot of undulation on these greens. So I think putting on POA will certainly be important. You got to be a great putter on that surface this week, so I will look at that as well. Other than that, I think strokes gained approach. I am going to look at fairways gained, which is a stat on Fantasy National that I do like this week. Strokes gained putting on POA, of course, ball striking. So there you go. That's a quick rundown on Silverado Resort and Spa. I like this course. I think it's going to be fun to watch these guys. Another factor you might want to factor in here is strokes. You should factor this and factor it twice, maybe factor it 3 times, and that is strokes lost hangover from wine. So if you got a guy that really likes some wine and you think he might be throwing it down on Wednesday night, I don't know, you might be in trouble. So pay attention. Check Instagram. Check the tweeter. Make sure if you see him out at dinner and there's all these bottles of wine and stuff. I mean, red wine can give you a big headache. So I mean, you got to really be watching that. But there you go. That is the course breakdown.
I mean, we also know a ton of pros who have told stories on this podcast of how well they played with a hangover. So, I mean, I can't. It's one of those things that's tough. It's like
Joel Damon's not in the field, I don't think, is he? So he's probably
he is in the field. He is in the field.
Sorry.
It's kind of like a home game, right? Like sometimes you have pros who play well when it's a home game and they're sleeping in their own bed, but then sometimes you have pros who don't play well because of all the family and friends are there and the demand is high. I would imagine the hangover is kind of the same way. Like some of them are going to be great at it, some of them aren't going to be great at it.
Well, I'm really kind of halfway kidding about that, but I mean, I think it is.
I know.
This is a fun event for these guys. I will put it that way. There is a reason you have a lot of these good players show up. It's a fun event for them. Napa's a fun place. I've been there.
Yeah, of course you have. Of course you have. Yeah, we all know. You probably have property there or something. Yeah, I think this course, we're going to see a winning score around 19, 20 under potentially. You got some big names. This place is gettable, as Pat mentioned. I do think wind could factor in a little bit. Factor the wind factor. So come Wednesday, you're going to want to check that out. Maybe if you subscribe to our freaking email, that's freaking awesome. You may see something about the wind in that write-up. So yeah, that's what I would do. If you're not subscribed to our email, you need to go to tourjunkies.com, scroll to the bottom of the page on the right side. It says Chalk Bomb. Put in your email address and subscribe. It's free. It's awesome. So
can we address that really quick? I think we need to address the Chalk Bomb really quick because sometimes I think people don't listen. So the Chalk Bomb is a little different in the fall. We don't actually have a Chalk Bomb. It is still called the Chalk Bomb email, but it's a little different because Ben's not putting out the Chalk Bomb. So if you're wondering, that's why that's not in there. I've got a little piece in there, my sommelier piece. I've got Pontifications with Pat, which is a huge hit from what I hear. Everybody loves it.
Everybody on the street's talking about it, yeah.
Yeah, there is not an actual Chalk Bomb in this one. But we do have Ben's 10 facts still. So.
Yeah. And my DB's Big Balls betting card.
Which is great.
Been
too.
nailed.
Awesome. Yeah. It's really good.
So anyway, I actually don't like. I looked at strokes gained off the tee at this event, but I'm not really factoring it on all that heavily, like or accuracy or whatever. I I think bombers that miss fairways are going to be just fine here. There are some dog legs. It is tree lined, as you mentioned, but I think corners can be cut. And even if you're in the rough, this rough historically is not known to be very long, around 3 inches or so on average, which should sound pretty familiar to Pat. The 3 inches part. So
I don't follow you there, but go ahead.
we'll talk about it. Yeah, so I just don't think it's that. I don't think it's that big a deal if you're not in the fairway. I think this is very much about iron play. These greens are very fast. They're very undulating, and Napa has seen like very little rain, and there's not really any rain in the forecast. So I think they could be firm and fast. And hitting into these greens is going to be important. There's some runoffs here, closely mown areas around the greens. So I think this is all about iron play. And then if your guy misses it, he's got to be able to get up and down. I think scrambling's important. And then I'm weighing putting a little less. So strokes gained approach, greens in regulation, opportunities gained. Those key kind of ball striking on approach stats are what I'm looking at. And then I'm looking at strokes gained off the tee. I'm going to factor it. I looked at guys who historically, gained strokes tee to green here at Silverado. And then other than that, man, like always, it's all about ownership if you're playing tournaments on DraftKings or FanDuel. And, the betting value here is a little different than last week. Last week we talked about how, like, most of the winners in the last few years have come from the triple digits or longer odds, which we saw one in Sebastian Munoz, I think. No, Munoz was less than. He was like 66 to 1.
He was 60. Well, I had him at 60 to 1. So.
Okay. But you do see a lot of guys in that range here. You see that 30 to 60 to 70 to 1 number win over the last few years. And I think when you've got a stronger field, there's some good players here. So you're more likely to see a lower odds guy come through and win this thing. But that being said, there's still plenty of guys in that 7K and 6K range on DraftKings, for example, that I like in tournaments, and we'll get to those plays now. Pat, let's get it going. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, I'm going to start off here in the 9K and above range on DK, and I'm going to go right to the top. I'm playing Justin Thomas, man. This is something DB does not normally do. I am normally not.
This is kind of shocking.
A play the top guy, but I am all in on some Justin Thomas right now. Obviously, the form's incredible. He's played this golf tournament pretty well in the past. He hasn't played since 2017, but back-to-back top 10s in 17 and 16, and he actually does. I went back and looked over the years, like these fall events when he comes and plays an event that we haven't seen him in a little bit. Like after the Tour Championship, he comes out kind of good. Like he comes out kind of swinging. So I'm not really worried about the rust with JT. I think I just love it. I love the ball striking ability. He checks all the boxes, and I think he's going to be 15% or less maybe owned with a field like this. And I do find enough value in the 7K range, especially that I think I can go nicely with JT. And I'm just looking at some of these other guys at the top. Adam Scott we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen since the playoffs, and we haven't. He didn't play that well. He's never played this tournament before. Patrick Cantlay, he seemed a little bit broken at the end of last year, and broken for Patrick Cantlay still means he's going to finish top 30, but he just doesn't seem all right is in Patrick Cantlay's world right now. So I think I'm out on him. Hideki not checking a lot of boxes either. The next guy that I'm going to is Sungjae. I'm going to go back to Sungjae at 10-1. We saw him almost win. I thought he was going to get it done. I just knew he was going to get it done yesterday, I guess, and it didn't happen. But the ball striking is incredible. He played here for the first time last season, finished fourth. What else can you say about Sungjae other than he doesn't get tired and his golf tan is ridiculous for an Asian who doesn't normally tan. So he's just unbelievable. He's unbelievable. So I'm all in on Sungjae and JT. And then finally, I'm going to drop down, and I'm going to go with old Shesticle Reevy. Shez loves him some Napa, okay? Plays here every freaking year, every chance he gets. He's gained 22 strokes at this golf tournament over the last 5 years. We last saw him finishing 8th at the Tour Championship, and he checks every single box. He's gained 14 strokes off the tee and on approach at this golf tournament since he's played it the last 5 years. He's checking the box in all the other categories over the last 24 rounds. I think Shesticle is a nice little pick, and I don't feel like a lot of people are going to be on him. He's a West Coast guy. He putts, his best putting split is on POA. And so I think it's a nice little spot to get Shez at a little lower ownership. He's 40-1 on my bookie. That's where I'm going to start, looking around that number for the betting odds. Sung Jae at 22-1, but I can't call it DB's Big Balls betting card if I bet Sung Jae 22-1. But I'm starting to kind of take a peek at Shez at 40-1. But I am going to go with M in cash. I'm not going to start a cash lineup with Justin Thomas. I don't think there's a need for that. I think you're going to get a guaranteed cut with Sung Jae M. Give you some salary relief on DraftKings or FanDuel. So I like M in cash. And then the fade is pretty easy for me. It's Mark Leishman, man. Mark Leishman, something's not right with the guy. We talked about it on Twitter last time he played, which I think was a Greenbrier, with our boy Adon 7X or whatever it is. I can't remember on Twitter. He's got something going on.
It was Greggles. It was Greggles.
Greggles, that's right. It was Greggles, our boy Greggles. He's got something going on. Hip injury, back injury. Something doesn't look right in the swing. He withdrew from the Greenbrier. It's just not a spot to take Leishman at 9,300 and get cute. That being said, I mean, you also heard my take on Cantlay and Adam Scott, so I don't mind fading those guys either. But officially, I'm definitely out on Leishman. And if you come at us and say, what about Leishman? I'm going to tell you no every time. If you come to us and say, oh, man, I really, really love Cantlay here for all these reasons, then I'm going to say, you know what, man? Make your choice. I'm not with you, but I don't hate it. It's Patrick Cantlay. Everybody knows I love Patrick Cantlay. So that's the 9K and above range for me, my friend. What say you?
Well, first off, I'll start at the top with you with JT. I'm okay with playing him. He is not like one that I have as one of my plays, but I'm okay with it. I don't mind that play, and I kind of agree with you on Cantlay. I'll start, though, at the bottom there with Reevy. I actually like him as a GPP play and a cash play. He would be both of those for me. I think he's a good cash play. Look, the guy loves this tournament. He's there every year. He's just solid every single year. You mentioned all the stats that line up. So he's checking all the boxes there. So I'm with you there. I do like Adam Scott. I mean, you talked a little bit about his recent results. I mean, they've actually been pretty good. I mean, he was 6th at the Tour Championship, top 10 at the BMW, 5th at the Northern Trust. So he's been playing well. And then when you go to looking at the stats, I mean, 6 ball. We know he's a great ball striker. 4 strokes gained approach. He checks the box off the tee. You mentioned that as not being a huge factor for you, but I mean, it is what it is. And he's making birdies. He's second in the field in birdie or better percentage. I just feel like Adam Scott always goes kind of especially when he's up in this range, people just tend to overlook him. And he's in the top 15 in the field in strokes gained putting on POA. So you throw that all in there. I mean, I think Adam Scott is a good play at 10-7, so he will be one of my tournament plays. Who else did I give? I gave Reevy, and then as a cash and a GPP play. Also, I got to say,
you know what? I made an egregious error with that Adam Scott call. Yeah, I don't know what I was looking at. His form is really actually freaking good. It's just that we haven't seen him in a bit. I guess that's what I was saying. Yeah,
I mean, we haven't seen him in a bit. So, and I think that, I don't know, I haven't been always high on some of these rookies, but Colin Morikawa, I think, really makes a little bit of a sense out here. I mean, obviously played his golf out on the West Coast. And these guys they've shown immediately that they can play with everybody else. 9,400 is not, I mean, it might scare some people off, but he's just been extremely solid in every event he's played in. If I can get him low owned, then I will take him. So he'll be my other tournament play. I agree with you on Leishman. I think that he's going to be low owned, though. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him because of all the things.
Doesn't matter,
so
though, man.
I know. So I do think you fade him, but the fade that I think that is actually a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little bit more bold is Brandt Snedeker. Everybody always looks at him on, POA greens. He tends to putt well, I guess, on those greens. But across the board, his stats aren't really that good at all. He's 91st in the field in ball striking, 113th off the tee, 77th in birdie or better percentage. He's not really hitting fairways all that much. Doesn't check the box in strokes gained approach. I just don't like playing Snedeker at 9,600. Look. I know he finished second here last year, so I get that, and I think that's probably what might put a few folks on him. But I faded him last week, and he finished T45. I don't think the form's necessarily there, so I think Sneds is going to be my fade at 9,600.
Yeah, I don't mind the Morikawa call. He definitely didn't play in the playoffs the way we thought he would, but definitely.
Yeah, I mean, just to get in it was even incredible.
And an incredible iron player, apparently, which is something I said I valued a lot. Now, I don't think, in terms of DFS, I don't think you're going to get him at an ownership discount. I could see him being a popular play, but you can't play them all here. Byung-Hun An coming off a good finish last week. People will be ready to play him. So, yeah, I think Morikawa and An and M are going to be your chalky plays in this range, but I could be wrong. So let's get to the 8K range. I like this little tier here. We're gonna.
I like it better than I did last week.
Yeah, I do too. That. Yeah, we're gonna give you 2 tournament plays, a cash play, and a fade. I'm gonna go with Scott Piercy at 50-1 on my bookie. I'm gonna go with him on DraftKings at 8,600. Played here three out of the last 3 years with a miscut last year, a T17 and a T3 before that. Playing pretty good. 19th at the Greenbrier. We hadn't seen him miss a cut in a while. He's checking boxes. We know he's a pretty elite iron player. And in the last 3 years, he's really gained strokes tee to green at this particular golf course. He's a Vegas guy. He's a West Coast guy. He putts better on POA than other surfaces. The irons are always dialed in for Piercy. I like the value at 8,600. And then for tournaments, I'm going to get on a guy who I talked about last week, and he probably disappointed a lot of folks, and that is Corey Connors. But I'm back on him here. Missed the cut at this event last year, but finished T30 before that. Now, the miscut last week at the Sanderson Farms was definitely annoying. But all he did was miss, 3 strokes putting, but he gained strokes. He gained 7 strokes tee to green last week. 7. But he couldn't make a putt. And as we know, that's not, that's the most variable thing, right? The week before that, he lost, or actually a couple of events before that at the Wyndham, he lost about a stroke and a half putting and still finished 22nd. His ball striking is always impeccable. He's a really solid iron player. We've seen Corey Connors win at the Valero Texas Open earlier this year. I think this is a good spot to bounce back on Connors after last week and disappointing a few people. So I'm in on Connors in tournaments. And then my cash play is going to be a guy that I faded last week to my demise, Mr. Bronson Burgoon. He finished T6th at Sanderson Farms. I'm starting to come around on the Burgoon bandwagon. And I think the kid's got an ability. He putts best on POA over any other surface. He gained 8 strokes on approach last week. 8. I have to have a piece of that action if you're going to give me 8 strokes gained. Keep those irons hot, and let's go. Bronson Burgoons. I'm going to roll with him in cash. I also don't mind him in tournaments, but I do think he'll be a chalky play in that range. But 60-1, my bookie. It'll be hard for me not to have him on the betting ticket as well. My fade for this range is, to me, it's going to be Lucas Glover, man, at $8,900. Here's the thing. I like Lucas Glover. I pray for Lucas Glover when I think about him and his wife. But here's the deal. 8,900 Lucas Glover, to me, is a sucker Glover. It's just not – it's not great. He did a lot of the same things Corey Connors did last week. He struck the ball really well, and he lost strokes putting. But that's his MO. That is what he does. He is historically known for sucking at putting. Very rarely does he have a couple weeks where he pops with the putter. But then when I was looking back over his some recent finishes, I don't know. It kind of trailed off towards the Wyndham Northern Trust playoffs. You finished second to last at the Tour Championship. I don't know. I'm just not buying the $8,900 price tag and the upside with Glover. Do I think he's going to make the cut? Yes, I do think Lucas Glover is going to make the cut. So if you really like him, I don't hate him to the fact that I think he's going to miss the cut, but I don't think he's going to return the value that you want him to have at $8,900, and I don't think he's going to give you the ownership leverage that you probably would need in a tournament. So there you go. I'm going with Piercy, Connors in tournaments, Burgoon and Cash, and Glover's my fade.
All right, well, I'm going to start with my fade, and it's right beneath Glover at Emiliano Grillo. I just think that, look, if you're looking at the stats, he's going to check all the boxes for you. He's obviously won this tournament before, but we really haven't seen all that much from him lately. He was T39 last week, T31 at the BMW, which he didn't make it into the Tour Championship. Missed the cut before that. Everybody just loves to play him. I mean, I just feel like he's always, and I know he pops from a stat standpoint, and I get suckered into him.
Everybody loves to play him. You love to play to him. You love to play him.
No, I just said that. I get suckered into him.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, besides winning here in 2016, after that T26, T28, T41, I mean, he's not really. I mean, for a guy at 8,800, I just don't think there's just an extreme upside potential for him. So I will fade him this week. As far as my favorite plays, though, I'll start with Abraham Answer. I love the guy. I just think he is one of the next studs on tour. You look at the stats, he's checking the box in ball striking, also in strokes gained off the tee, fairways gained, he's top 10 in the field. And it's just, you look at the way he finished the season last year or whatever, this year, whatever. I mean, he got that second place finish at the Northern Trust. It was T28 at the BMW, and then, he wasn't great at the Tour Championship, but I like Abraham Answer at this price range. I think that's a good range for him. I think this is a good course fit for him. So I like him in cash too, as well as GPPs. So he will be my cash and a GPP play. And then finally, I actually am with you on I guess it's a bonus play because I'm with you on Corey Connors. I think you play him off of that miscut. I think you're going to get a little bit lower ownership. He definitely fits the bill here. And then I'm with you on Bronson Burgoon. I think he's a great play. And we saw him play, I think it was early in the year last year on the West Coast swing. He played really well. I think. I could be wrong, but I feel like he did. So I do like the Burgoon.
I mean, he putts way better on POA than anything. That's his best split, but he's playing great right now.
Yeah, so I do like some Burgoon as well. I ended up on him kind of late last week. So he was almost in my sommelier write-up for guys we didn't talk about on the pod. But anyway,
we have live viewers on YouTube, as you know.
Great. What are they saying?
One of them has just asked if you have AC.
Why are they asking that?
Pat has very oily skin. Okay, he's olive complexion, which is a blessing. I mean, he goes out in the sun, he looks like a Greek god. You know what I mean? But he's I think with that olive complexion, he leaks olive oil all the time. He just looks like he's been
That's why
wrestling.
I have the towel. That's why I have the towel. Also, I just got off the baseball field literally 30 minutes before
Not playing. God, no. He was watching his son.
No, I was coaching my son, not necessarily just watching. But anyway.
Well, Pat, it seems like you could use a refresh. And oftentimes we refresh our snack drawers, but not our sock drawers. When's the last time you refreshed your sock drawer, Pat? Before this thing?
Way too long ago.
It's probably time for an upgrade then.
People are sock neglectors. They really are.
Yeah.
They need to be more, pay attention more to it.
Yeah, socks are a vital part. Like you're always going to use your feet, right? You're always using your feet, and you need to protect your feet. And that's where our friends at Bombas, la 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 Bombas, la Bombas, they're made with comfort innovations like arch support, a seamless toe. And you can get rid of those gold toe socks that you all have. Like Pat had a bunch of gold toe socks that are like your Walmart specials. You look like an old geezer in them. They got rid of those finally. You get
Can't
a cushioned
stand 'em anymore.
footbed. They're very comfortable. Come in hundreds of colors and styles. We got some of our own here not too long ago. I like because I'm a little more trendy. I like the crew height, and I got some sweet little designs there. They look good. But I also got some of the no-shows. I like the no-shows, and they have these little rubber things on the heel so they stay in place when you're walking in your shoes, and they're very comfy. So I like the Bombas for that. They have a new line of merino wool socks that are made from soft, warm, and naturally moisture-wicking merino wool. Designed with all the Bombas classic features, keeping cool and dry on your morning run, Pat, to staying comfortable in your office while your freezing air conditioning is blowing and your poor circulation is flowing because you're 42, and Bombas socks are ready to work just as hard as you do, buddy. And for every pair of socks you buy, Bombas donates a pair to someone in need. It's really pretty cool. Pat, somebody on YouTube said Pat looks like a tube sock guy. Josh Kistler, he's back. Josh, he loves to grind your gears, buddy. I love
If anybody knows, see, this is where people don't actually know me that well, because as much as I love Bombas socks, where I live, I'm in flip flops literally 90% of the time.
That is
true. Unless I'm at work, so no on the tube socks. But we appreciate the comment.
Yeah.
Appreciate your comment. I'm trying to be nicer with the comment, so I appreciate your comment. You're just wrong, but it's okay.
Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/Tour Junkies today. You get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Tour Junkies for 20% off. Bombas.com/Tour Junkies, 20% off. Go do that. Hey, look, if you need socks or the wife needs socks or the kids need socks. See, my wife, who has her own nonprofit and is very socially just aware, she got mad at me because I took the Bombas order and I ordered socks for me and my middle child, my 9-year-old son, who's very tough on socks. And I didn't order any for her, and she got really upset. So order them for you.
Think
and
about other
the whole
people
family.
besides yourself. Think
I
about
did.
your
I thought
family.
about my 9-year-old. I bought
No,
it for my
I'm
9-year-old.
talking to the listener.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Think about, other people might want some socks, not just you.
Yeah. Josh, probably. That's probably you. Josh.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the 7K range on DraftKings. I like this range, actually. I've got a number of plays here. I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to start off with a couple at the top, though. I'm going deep here up top. I like Dylan Fratelli here. Finished
Damn
sixth.
it! Come on.
I like him, man. Finished sixth last week. Finished 25th at this event last year. Texas, played at University of Texas. Can play in the wind if it gets windy here in Napa. He checks the box in strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach, greens in regulation, all that good stuff. So I'm digging Dylan Fratelli. Only 5% owned last week. Needs to get the putter going, but if he does, his ball striking is pretty impeccable. And he's just a good-looking dude in those glasses. I think me and Fratelli would be friends. He seems like a cool guy. South African, just a special person. And then I'm going to go with a guy who I typically go on, and I'm usually right, and that's Harold Varner III. I don't know how you can't like HV3 here at 7,800. Well, by the way, Fratelli, 55-1 on my bookie, and HV3, 66-1 on my bookie. HV3's played here all 4 years that he's been allowed to play here. He's made the cut every single year with 2 top 15s. He's gained almost 14 strokes on the field over the last 4 years. Finished 19th at the Greenbrier when we saw him last, and he's checking every single box. He's actually 6th in opportunities gained at this event, in the last 24 rounds, and 25th in ball striking at this event since he's played it. Really liking HV3 and Fratelli up top. But then I'm going to drop down to a guy who won me a lot of money a couple weeks ago at 150-1 on a first-round leader bet. I'm going to Robbie Shelton. I got off of him last week, and he still played pretty good. But I like the rookie. I like Robbie Shelton here. Finished 28th at the Sanderson, 7th at the Greenbrier in his first 2 starts as a pro. Alabama product. If you missed this already, this kid is really talented. He's a bomber. And his iron play over the last couple weeks has been very, very good. Very solid. He's throwing darts at the Greenbrier. He gained 2.5 strokes with the approach at the Greenbrier and over 1 last week. He hits the ball a long way. We've seen a lot of first-time winners here, as Pat mentioned. So I like Robbie Shelton. Now he's 100-1 on my bookie. He was 300-1 when I was sweating him out a couple weeks ago at the Greenbrier to win. So the odds have come down significantly for Shelton. But I like the value at 7,100, seeing as how I've got those two guys at the top tier on DraftKings. So I'm going for Telly, HV3, and Shelton in DraftKings tournaments. I'm going to go with HV3 in cash. I feel pretty good about HV3. And then my fades. All right, my fades. I'm gonna fade Kevin Tway. He's your defending champ. I know he's an Oklahoma State guy. Plays good in the wind. He's a bomber. Blah blah blah. But Kevin Tway's not really been very good since he won. Honestly, he did finish 11th at the BMW, which was okay. But he doesn't check a lot of boxes here, and I don't like first-time winner at an event with a pretty strong field. It's his first time having first-time winner responsibilities. Pat, are you awake? Somebody wants me to make sure you're awake. Are you good?
I'm awake.
Okay, good. And then, so Tway is definitely a fade. I'm going to shock you with this one. Are you ready for this one, Pat?
Yes, I'm listening.
I want to give you this one. I am fading a guy who I've been on the last 2 weeks, and he's finished 3rd and 6th. I'm fading Harris English.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm fading Harris English.
I would like to know why.
Well, not a great record here in 4 attempts. He doesn't tend to play well here. He's missed 2 cuts. His best finish is a 35th. But I think a lot of people are going to jump on the Harris English fade or Harris English train. It feels a little like Lucas Glover to me. It feels like 7,900. Now we're getting to the top of Harris English. I'm going to pay for you range. You know, where I just don't know. You're going to get the high ownership because of the last 2 weeks. I want to jump off of him when he bombs. Everybody's going to jump off of him when he bombs, after he bombs. But I want to be off of him the week he bombs. He's 127th in this field over the last 24 rounds in strokes gained approach and 115th in opportunities gained. He does not hit the ball close. He just makes a lot of putts. Now, historically, he is pretty good. He is pretty good for that. But he's not. His iron play isn't great. So played great the last couple weeks. I had him as an outright winner last week and sweated it out. But I don't think this is the week to play Harris English. So GPP picks: Fratelli, HV3, and Shelton. Cash, HV3. Fades, English, and Tway.
All right. Well,
all right. A lot of people are worried about you, Pat. Are you okay? Somebody thinks that all proceeds are going to go to Pat's ADD meds. Again, Josh Kistler.
What a great guy. Anyway, so with
we're going to have to arrange a meetup with you and Josh.
Yeah, Fratelli. By the way, I don't know what Josh's deal is.
Josh, if you're ever in the Savannah area, we need to know so we can arrange that.
Fratelli, I do like. So he was one of the guys. So when you first mentioned him, I was a little upset because I thought it'd be a little. Because I thought last week, kind of going into the event, that he was sort of a little bit of a sneaky play because not a lot of people were talking about him. I don't know what the ownership was, but I'm sure it was pretty low. And then of course, he finishes top 10. So I did like Fratelli. I'm totally with you there. Another guy I think that is just he can be hit or miss. But I think this is the week for him, and that is Troy Merritt at 7,700. He has a good history here. He was 15th in 2017, finished T4 last year in this event. A guy that can actually score when you really think about it. I mean, he's top 20 in the field in birdie or better percentage. He's 12th in strokes gained approach, top 25 in ball striking. So I think Troy Merritt it makes for a decent play there at 7,700. So he will be another tournament play for me. And then dropping down, I'm going to go with my boy Lanto Griffin at 7,400. I think he's going to be super, super low owned. You look at last week, he had a good event, finished top 11 or T11. He was 13th at the Greenbrier, so he's playing extremely solid since coming off the KF Corn Ferry Tour, whatever you want to call it. So I like some Lanto Griffin. I think he makes for a good tournament play. He will be definitely super low owned. And he's a scorer too. He's in the top 35 in the field in birdie or better percentage, so I do like that. As far as fades here, I'm with you on Kevin Tway, actually. I just don't think that you look to play him in this tournament. Look, I know he's coming off of a win and whatever else, so I will fade some Kevin Tway. Another one, though, is I just think he fade Brendan Steele. He's won this tournament twice.
Yeah.
It's like everybody thinks it's Brendan Steele week, but I don't know. I don't get it. I just he's been so just inconsistent all year. Yes, he was 36th at the Greenbrier, but missed the cut before that at the Wyndham Championship. I think a lot of like to look at past winners of the event and see where they are, and as far as the course history is concerned. But I don't know. I'm not going to play some Brendan Steele here. As far as cash is concerned, I think Fratelli is the cash play for me. So.
Yeah, Steele's only going to gain strokes off the tee. He's not going to do anything else well of late. But he will gain some strokes off the tee. Hits it a long way, hits it accurately to be as long as he is. But he can't hit an iron. He can't make a putt. So that's usually not good. All right, 6K range. There's a number of names down here as well. I'll give you a few down here. I like a few of these Korn Ferry guys that we've been talking about a little bit. We've mentioned him a couple times, but Tyler McCumber has been popping a little bit. Good player, good ball striker, greens and regulations check in. He's a good putter, hits the ball plenty long. He's at 300 to 1 on my bookie. That's a little steep. I don't know if he's going to come out and win this thing, but he's getting my attention. And he's come out and done pretty good for a rookie on tour. Scott Harrington, a guy who I was on last week, he missed the cut, which bummed me out. But this place suits him a little better. I think he's an absolute bomber of the golf ball. Does everything well, really. He really does everything well. Tee to green, putting, chipping. He's a wily veteran on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he's at 200 to 1 on my bookie. So I'm liking a little Scott Harrington. And I'm going to go with another kid that I actually, we at one point we were going to do a Korn Ferry Tour, like our favorite guys on the Korn Ferry Tour episode. But that was the week we got Gino and Joel and Aaron Fleener on at the same time. And everything just went down the tubes.
If you haven't listened to that, by the way, you're crazy and stupid. I'm calling I just called you stupid.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. You're an idiot if you haven't listened to that. But I'm going to go with a guy who I had written down for that event, or for that episode. And it's Sebastian Kaplan, who's now made his first 2 cuts on the PGA Tour and played pretty well. He's an Arkansas guy, bomber on the Korn Ferry Tour, 18th in distance, 40th in greens and regulation on the Korn Ferry Tour. And Kaplan's just playing good right now. So those are just a few long shot names I think will be owned, 3% or less in tournaments. But I like those guys. If you want a little safer play, I feel like Brownie's a good play here. Yeah, kind of Brownie. And then other than that, I don't know. I kind of like living in the 7K range along with my JT play. So there you go.
I mean, I'm with you there. I think I wouldn't sleep on Adam Long. He's been playing really well lately. A top 25 finish last week at the Sanderson Farms, top 15 at the Greenbrier. So he's been playing extremely well. I mean, he's not necessarily gonna pop across the board when it comes to stats, but I mean, he is top 10 in the field in driving accuracy. He's 22nd in strokes gained approach, 44th in ball striking. So I think Adam Long certainly makes some sense here as far as a good play. Other than that, I don't know. You may look at cover boy Max Homa coming off. He just got that Golf Digest cover. He's a West Coast guy. He does check the box when it comes to ball striking, strokes gained approach, off the tee.
I think if Max shaved his arms, he'd pick up a few mile-an-hour swing speed.
He might. God, that's a lot of hair.
Aerodynamic.
There's a lot of hair on his arms.
A lot.
I saw a comment on Twitter. I think it was Chesson Hadley was giving him some crap. He said, you have more hair than I can see skin. And that was true.
It's 100%
you look
true.
at it.
Unless they photoshopped more hair onto Max.
I mean, but you can't shave your arm, I guess. I don't know if that's a thing. Do you get the Manscaped? We talked about Manscaped the other day on our show.
No free ads, though. They stopped paying us.
All right. Well, anyway, well, that's
Nice.
it. That's all I got.
That's it. I like it. I like it. Let's talk about Sebastian Munoz, buddy. Why don't you toot your horn right here, real quick?
Well, I mean, I took him. If you listen to the show, I had him as my first pick that I took, and that's he was at 7,900, I believe. And here's what I wanted to mention. It is because I think if we're talking about a play for DraftKings or whatever it is, you may not fit him into your lineup, but maybe you bet him, which is what I did. I had him in some lineups, but I did also bet him at 60-1. And just because we may not go out in DB's big ball bets, or I may not tweet out something or anything like that about a guy, I think it's worth listening to who we like and then maybe matching them up with a bet every once in a while if maybe you're not going to play him in DraftKings, or if you are, I think it's, put a bet on him. I mean, which is what I did, and I got him at 60-1. So I didn't really have the greatest week when it came to DFS, but I did when it came to betting because I listened to my own, I guess, advice and took him, like I said, at 60-1. So was very happy about that. I was glad he got the victory. I will say, despite winning the money, I really want Sung J M to get a victory because I feel like he deserves it.
Yeah.
I feel like that guy, and he's going to get one. He will get one eventually, which is why I don't think you really ever can be off of him when it comes to DFS. I mean, he's
so
a grinder.
Man.
He's so consistent, and I mean, you may have mentioned on the show, and I checked out, but I mean, freaking Gino Bonelli, Caddy on Tour, has been in the groups with him, called him one of the best players he's ever seen in person as far as just ball striking and everything else. That tells you a lot, hearing it from a caddy. It tells you a lot about the type of player he is. And I mean, you don't play as many tournaments as he does if you don't just love the freaking game of golf. And he's shown that he can grind it out. I mean, he had a little bit of a lull in the summer where he didn't have a great stretch, but he's picked it back up again. And he started off the year last year playing well. I mean, this guy's an absolute stud. We're going to see a lot of them. So I hated it for him that he didn't get the win, but it's coming. He will get one. There is no way he is not getting a win on tour. I would say next year. There's no way it's not happening.
Yeah. Well, while you were pulling for Sebastian Munoz, I was sweating Harris English. He was the best bet that I had on the board come Sunday. However, I had Sebastian Munoz in DFS lineups, but I had him with Wyndham Clark. And freaking Wyndham Clark had Wyndham Clark made the cut, I would have gotten all the monies in DraftKings. This motherfather on his 36th hole hits it to 25 feet, okay? All he needs is a par, and he makes the cut. Hits it to 25 feet. He hits the first putt 35 feet, 10 feet past the hole. Then he hits, now at this point, he either makes it or he misses the cut. I don't care what happens after that. He races that one by 3.5 feet. So now he's missed the cut. So now it doesn't matter. But then he proceeds to miss the 3.5 footer. He 4-putted on the final hole on the cut line from 25 feet. Wyndham Clark did. I wanted to stab my eye with a pin watching this go down. I was on the phone with you and I was like, hey, I'm looking good in DK. I got this. I just need Wyndham Clark to 2-putt from 25 feet. We're good. And then a few minutes later, I text you. He 4-putted from 25 feet.
After all was said and done, did you just go to the Instagram page of his just to kind of make yourself feel a little bit better, like he's
no?
Or did that just piss you off?
That would have probably made me escalate even more. Now let's. I also got to hit on this guy because, listen, on Thursday. Well, actually, I guess Friday when the first round technically finished up. Well, no, it was on Thursday.
Oh God, I know where you're going now.
Thursday,
this is so ridiculous. You and I.
On Thursday, we had another bet. We were sweating at triple digits. Mr. Seamus Power went pretty low on Thursday. I wrote him up.
Emphasis shame. Emphasis the shame part of that.
But I wrote him up as a first round leader. He loved that golf course last week. He's a guy that gets super hot. He runs hot, right? He goes out and shoots a 7 under on day one. Now, it didn't make the cut. I mean, the leaders were at 8 under, and I think there were 2 or 3 of them, right? But so he missed the first round leader, but we were sweating it at 125 to 1. It was a good bet. It was a good Thursday sweat for 125 to 1. But I also had him to win at like 150 to 1, right? So I'm like, hey, come on, Seamus, let's do this, man. You're in a good spot. Let's keep it going. Well, this guy, Seamus Power, is at 7 under. No, I'm sorry, he's at 8 under for the tournament. At 8 under for the tournament. Through his 11th hole on Friday, his second round. This is
golf for you.
He has 7 more holes left. He proceeds to go double, par, double, bogey, double, bogey, par. To lose all 8 strokes and finish even, well below the cut line. Now, what's crazy is a lot of these were just god-awful shots. Like, oh, man, I've never seen a collapse like that. I don't remember a collapse like that. Shot a 79, Seamus Power, to miss the cut. After almost being the first-round leader at a triple-digit number literally hours before. Now, talk about somebody who may have gotten hung over the night before. Maybe that was him. But it didn't kick in until the 11th hole, 12th hole. So maybe that can't be the case. I still got love for Seamus, though, because we've talked to a number of tour pros that say Seamus is one of the most entertaining guys and really good with the ladies. And anybody like that, I feel like we would be friends. So I can't be too mad at him, but it was unbelievable. Between that and Wyndham Clark, I was tilted on Friday night. Completely tilted on Friday night.
Yeah, I agree. That was pretty terrible.
We are trying to include the perfect lineup every week on DraftKings for your reference. It would have scored 672.5 points for $49,800. You would have left $200 on the board, and it would have been obviously the winner, Sebastian Munoz, the runner-up, Sung Jae Im, Byung-Hun An, Carlos Ortiz, Kevin Streelman, and Dominique Bazzelli, the Boz in there. Those would have been your perfect. That would have been your perfect combo.
He was another one that I started thinking about later in the week. So
yeah.
I need to anyway.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
It doesn't. It does not. Yep. It doesn't count if you don't say it, buddy. Pat, are you ready?
I am ready. I don't know what. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. Let's go.
Stay with us, Pat. Stay with us. Pat, why don't you just go? I could just end the show. I could just finish the show by myself if you want.
No, I'm good. I'm ready. I mean,
sure?
I know
I'm
looking at the sheet. I know what's next.
Yeah, but
what's next does not involve me. It's DB down in the DMs.
You can certainly comment.
Okay, I will comment.
Yes.
But
we have a new segment. Here it is. DB down in the DMs.
We need like some sort of music for that. I don't know what it is. Like somebody stepping down some stairs. Deep, 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 deep,
DB down in the DMs. Yeah. All right. So I got a handful I'm gonna get to here. I'm gonna go to Instagram first. If you've not done this, you need to send us some questions. DM us on Instagram or the Twitter at Tour_Junkies on both. All right. This first one, Instagram, Mr. Seth Gross. I normally play the DraftKings $1 20 max and have pretty good success. Considering bumping it up to the $3 20 max, but that would obviously triple my weekly investment, is it safe to assume the competition will be harder, or should I expect the same results that I've been seeing over time? I think that's actually a good question, Mr. Seth. I tend to think that the same people who are probably playing in the $1.20 max are the same caliber of people playing in the $3.20 max. I don't think you're going to see much difference. I don't play in those. I'm not trying to. It's just a little too low stakes for me. But I started there. I definitely started there. Yeah, but I don't think you're going to see much difference in terms of the competition. Now, I am not sure the difference in the size of the contest. I don't know how many people are in the $1.20 max versus the $3.20 max. I guess I could look that up real quick. while I'm doing that. Pat, do you have any thoughts on this? As DB, I will allow you to step in and enter your thoughts if you like, but no pressure.
No, I don't have any thoughts on
Okay.
this. I haven't played.
All right. The $3 20 max is 9,900 people. The $1 20 max is 15,000 people. So, all right. So, you got to get obviously more entries in the dollar. So you got to be a little more potentially. You'd have to be a little more perfect. All right. Not perfect, but closer to it. So you can get away with a little more margin for error in the $3. But I bet your competition is basically the same. And
I would say it's the same for sure. And I think if I'm choosing between the two, you're looking at obviously probably the $3 20 max probably has the better prize pool. So I would probably go that direction if that's the question. I don't know, but I think the competition I think is 1-to-1. I don't think there's any difference there.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, if our YouTube viewers have some questions they want to throw in there, go ahead and throw those in. I can't commit to anything, but all right. Here's another one from our friends on Instagram, Golf and Jokes. These guys are pretty funny. If you're not following them, at Golf like an N, Golf Jokes, Golf Jokes. They said dream foursome to play with and the biggest bet that you've won. Now I think we've covered dream foursome before. Or at least a variation of the dream foursome. And I didn't give this question any thought beforehand, so I'm just going to rattle this off. I'm going to go with Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell, myself, and I guess I got to go Tiger. I mean, how can you not go Tiger? So I'm going to go that. Biggest bet I've won has been, what was my Johnny Vegas hit last year? Remember that? Or was it Keith Mitchell?
We both hit the Johnny Vegas one.
That was a first round leader bet.
Which was at around 100-to-1. But you hit a bigger one with the.
So probably 150-to-1. Shelton was pretty big. Hit some parlays in the NFL, but those don't get that.
Well, it wasn't. What was Danny Willett when you hit him?
Danny Willett was also 150-to-1 for the Masters. He was 150-to-1.
And you put more on that one, I thought.
I did put more on that one.
Yeah.
Yep, so 150-to-1, biggest bet. All right, let's go to... Let's see. Let me go to the Twitter DMs. Well, the Kenneth Paris on YouTube says, the Tour Junkies Scramble Invitational needs to happen. Listen, we would love to do a Tour Junkies tournament. We've talked about it. It will happen one of these days, but y'all are a bunch of tightwads. Like we can't pay for everybody. You'd be surprised how many tightwads we have. All right, this is a good one. Oh, I really like this one. Jay on Twitter at Border Rage. This is a good one. Question to ponder for the podcast: if someone wins, let's say at least $500 on DraftKings or FanDuel or a bet or something like that, and then goes to Twitter to thank you publicly for the pick and or the lineup, do you think a small portion of the proceeds should go to you guys as a courtesy for your expertise? If I won, this is Jay, I'd send you something as a thank you. Just saying. I just wonder what your followers would say to that question. Jay, I think that's tremendous.
Very interesting question.
Like that kid at the. Did you hear about the kid at the Iowa kid at the game day or whatever that had the sign and he's raised like.
Oh, with the natural light or the beer.
Yeah, he's raised like $100,000. Should we just give everybody our Venmo? It's just it's Tour Junkies. You guys can Venmo us.
It will go to charity.
But if you're asking me seriously, do I think people should do that? No, I don't think people should do that. But I mean, people make their own decisions, right? Like we say who we like. We try to give you some good information. We're happy when we hit. We're bummed when we don't. We do give you some inside information. I think that you may not get from other places. But yeah.
I think the key you just said is people make their own decisions, and I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, we like to give you as much knowledge and background and research and whatever that we know, but hey, when it comes down to it, it's your own decision. So if you hit, you pat yourself on the back. Not you don't necessarily. Now look, we like seeing the tweets out there that we put you on it or whatever. But
Yeah,
we would
please
never
do that.
we would never say we would need some sort of cut of that because you're making decisions the same way when things go bad. I mean, people at us or whatever when things go bad because we told them to do something, but that was your decision to listen to us. I mean, again, look, it goes both ways. So I don't think we need a cut of your winnings.
Yeah, but again, we won't turn them down. And on Venmo, we are at Tour-Junkies. It's a black and white picture of Bob Golby as our Venmo thing. So, I mean, if you want to send it, be our guest. We'll get that going. But yeah, that was good. That was good. Pat, do you have any questions for DB down in the DMs?
I don't think I have any questions for you. I will say people don't think I read the DMs, but I do. We have. I mean, I've mentioned this several times. We have a lot of people that just send a DM. I mean, not necessarily talking crap about me, but just something like expecting that I'm not reading it, and I do read them. I love you guys, but I do read them.
We literally read like the two people you're listening to literally read every DM. We're the only people that read every DM.
Every single DM. Yeah. So
on Twitter,
sometimes
Instagram,
there's been a few funny ones though that they thought I wasn't reading them, and it was pretty funny.
We are not big enough to the point that we can't handle reading every DM.
Yeah,
that would be a good problem to have. Hope it never happens. I mean, I hope we're never too big to read every DM, but we will. If you send it to us, we're going to read it, and we love getting them, and we appreciate it. It's a good time, but yeah, it is fun when people like kind of bash you a little bit and just assume that you either don't know how to read the DMs or you do, but you just don't. You're not engaged enough to read the DMs. So they talk to me about you.
Yes,
I'm like, you realize he's here. He's in the room. He's right here.
Yeah, it's like literally being in a room of 3 people and they're just talking crap about me, and it's like I'm not even there, but I'm actually there. So.
Yeah. All right, great stuff. Appreciate it, guys. It's been a good podcast. We're gonna keep the new segments coming. We got a few more that we're gonna roll out here in the swing season, and we'll keep them going. The Chunk and Run will be back too. If you guys are fans of the Chunk and Run, submit those questions, get those to us. Check out the YouTube page if you're not already. Go subscribe on YouTube. If you watch on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. We're trying to grow that thing. Also, we're adding a new thing. If you are listening to the audio version but you don't have time or you don't want to watch the YouTube version, we are adding every week a highlight video, a highlight reel of the Tour Junkies YouTube video podcast. So it's just kind of the best moments or picks or whatever from that week's episode, which I got to say, this week's episode doesn't really feel like a good one. Like sometimes we feel like we really nailed it. Mm-hmm. This one we just, I don't know, it kind of felt like a double. Like a sliding double, not a stand-up double.
Like not a ground rule double where you just crushed it, but it bounced over.
Not either. Like a double where you really had to book it to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the throw was high coming into second, so you took
like he could have been called out, but like just a bad throw.
Well, no. It was definitely a safe, but I'm just saying like the throw was really high, and so he had to go a long way to make. If the throw would have been on the money, we'd have been out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. We're at fall events, but look, good field this week. So
it is a good field. Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Hey, cheers, Pat. Let's go record TJ After Dark for DraftKings YouTube channel. That'll be good.
Looking forward to it.
I'm gonna
Cannot wait.
I'll see you there.
I am too. Yeah.
Maybe we'll see all you listeners there too. All right, guys. May your screens be green for the Safeway Open. See ya.
Out.
Tour Junkies.